Buenas tardes. Thank you to our NAHJ members who have joined us this late afternoon, evening to meet our roster of candidates who are running for the 8 regional spots on our national board. These positions are very important as they serve as a link between the national board and our chapters and regional members. So each region is unique and distinct, and it's very important that each region have a voice on the national board to make sure that we're addressing all of our members' needs as much as possible. We have 8 director positions open. There is somebody running for each one of the positions. Only one of our races is contested, and that's Region 5, which I'm going to forget all the states that it represents, but Texas, Arkansas, Oklahoma, and what am I forgetting, Nanette? Texas, Arkansas, Oklahoma?
Louisiana.
Gracias. So without any further ado, we will go through the candidates by region numerically. So we will kick it off with Region 1, David Cordero Mercado, who represents Puerto Rico, Mexico City, and I'm also blanking on the other ones, but you can tell us a little bit more, David.
The Caribbean. Thank you, Nora. Hi to everyone. I hope you're all doing well. I'm gonna make my remarks in Spanish because most of the members of Region 1 also talk in Spanish, and Spanish is my first language. So, gracias a todos por estar presente. Para mí es un honor ser candidato para continuar dirigiendo la Región 1 de la Asociación Nacional de Periodistas Hispanos. Hablarles sobre mis planes para los próximos 2 años como parte de la organización, pues implica también hablar un poco sobre lo que hemos estado haciendo en los pasados 2 años, cuando la Junta me designó como director de la Región 1, un puesto que estaba vacío y que permitió reactivar muchas cosas que estaban pendientes en la Región 1. Y uno de esos asuntos para mí de suma importancia fue la reactivación del capítulo de miembros profesionales de la asociación en Puerto Rico, que es un país que es parte de Estados Unidos y que tenía ya muchos miembros activos en la organización, pero que no eran parte de ningún capítulo de forma oficial, porque pues era estaba desatendido, no había un director. Así que lo primero que logré con el apoyo de otros miembros como parte de la Región 1 fue reactivar ese capítulo, que para mí era muy importante porque significaba cimentar y reforzar la base y la presencia de nuestra organización en Puerto Rico como parte de la Región 1 y de la asociación a nivel nacional. Luego que reactivamos ese capítulo, también logramos crear un nuevo capítulo de estudiantes en la Universidad Interamericana de Bayamón, en el Departamento de Comunicaciones. Y en total tenemos 4 capítulos estudiantiles más el capítulo profesional, además del resto de los miembros de la Región 1, que están en las Islas Vírgenes estadounidenses, en México. Y también hemos logrado aumentar la presencia de la asociación en otros países que no necesariamente son parte de la organización, pero donde también hay hispanos, latinos, que están interesados en recibir beneficios de parte de la asociación, como son los entrenamientos. Estuvimos el año pasado en República Dominicana, estuvimos en México y pudimos ampliar todos nuestros ofrecimientos de entrenamiento y beneficios a los colegas periodistas de esa zona. De cara a los próximos 2 años, mi intención es continuar reforzando sobre todo la cantidad de entrenamientos que damos a nivel regional, ampliar ampliar los canales de comunicación para continuar escuchando cuáles son las necesidades de los miembros en la región 1, sobre qué asuntos y temas quisieran ver en esos entrenamientos, en las discusiones que tenemos tanto a nivel presencial como virtual. Encontrar también maneras para aumentar los fondos, los ingresos a nivel regional para facilitar el desarrollo de esos entrenamientos, y también proveer asistencia cuando nuestros miembros lo necesitan. Por ejemplo, el año pasado, con el paso del huracán Fiona, pudimos habilitar unos espacios para que colegas periodistas pudieran trabajar en espacios comunes mientras no había electricidad en Puerto Rico. Así que queremos, pues, sobre todo, asegurarnos de que la asociación está presente en esos momentos y que nuestros miembros sepan que yo como director y como parte de la Junta de Directores estamos ahí para responder a sus necesidades en todos los ámbitos, desde el laboral, hasta el desarrollo profesional, y en todos los que planteen, ¿verdad?, que podemos servir como recursos. Creo que ya consumí mis 3 minutos.
Ya es tiempo. Muchas gracias, David. Appreciate
Thank
your
you.
message. Next, we will hear from Sarah Betancourt, who's running for Region 2 Director. That's the Northeast, representing Connecticut, Maine, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, New York, New Jersey, Rhode Island, and Vermont. Sarah, bienvenida.
Gracias. Saludo a todo, and it's great to follow another Puerto Rican. I'm Sarah Betancourt. I'm a reporter for GBH News in Boston. It's been a long road to get a job this secure, and finding stable work as a working class Latina reporter. At the same time, I was able to learn to speak Spanish at the same time as English by my grandmother, who's passed, and that ability was really helpful in newsrooms from 2008 onward to now, where they may not have had someone to translate or go to housing court and talk to people in Spanish, in the language that they're most comfortable with. So I'm running to make the path easier for others. I know it's difficult to break into this industry, find a good job, and then once you get that job, balance that stability in a quest for equity in the workplace, especially when you live in some of America's most expensive cities. So NAHJ's mission statement talks about fair treatment of Hispanics in media, and that's something I firmly believe in, and I want to see that happen in every corner of the industry. And part of getting Latinos jobs, good ones, is fair working conditions. So if elected, my priorities for this region, and I really want to hear from members as well as to whether these are good priorities or if they should shift. But my priorities right now would be to ensure every member of NAHJ Region 2 has the tools they need to apply for good jobs. So having a good headshot, having headshot workshops, resume reviews, and making sure they're connected to a lot of the great opportunities already listed through NAHJ's site. I would like to have a region-wide online survey with concerns members have over equity, wages, recognition, and job availability, and room for advancement in their newsrooms. And I think it's important we know what's going on in the newsrooms of our members. Third, I want to ensure that Region 2 members know their workplace rights in their states and are ensured equitable and affordable access to mental health services in their workplaces. That could be with nonprofits, and also have the ability to work with mentors and affordable attorneys if they wish and if they have any issues, and being able to provide those resources and information to them. And finally, I want to create a contract that news organizations in Region 2 can voluntarily sign on to, where reporters, producers, interns, whomever in the newsroom can feel safe asking to be recognized, and they would be compensated for the extra work that they do in the field, interpreting, translating. I'm sure you all have encountered this in your jobs where you're doing work outside of your job description and you're getting zero recognition for it. Let's hold them to the standard of tangibly recognizing their Latino employees. So I know we're trying to keep it short. I'm going to have a Zoom on July 11th And if anyone wants to chat and talk through some ideas and how we could get things done, I'm really excited about that. And thank you for the opportunity to talk.
Gracias, Sarah. Very nice. Thank you so much for your words. Next, we will hear from Melissa Makaya, who is running to represent Region 3, the Mid-Atlantic, and that's members living in Delaware, Kentucky, Maryland, Pennsylvania, Virginia, Washington, D.C., and West Virginia. Melissa, welcome.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Nora, for that introduction. I am Melissa Makaya. I currently serve as Region 3 Director. And before I jump into the things that I hope to continue to pursue and do in our region, I'd love to share a little bit about my journey in NAHJ. And it's always so wonderful to hear everyone's unique journey with this organization. And I think the reason why I want to run again and the reason I feel so passionate about working with our local chapters is just my career and my journey in journalism has been marked by NAHJ on every single turn. I started in high school connecting with NAHJ, and then through a scholarship that I got with the organization. And then as a student at UT Austin, I helped relaunch our student chapter there. And then when I moved to our nation's capital, to DC, I got really involved with our DC chapter, helping lead it for 4 different terms. And that's where I really saw the power of our local chapters and really made me passionate about serving on the national board and serving as a link and a voice for our local members on the national board. In the DC area, we've held job fairs, we've done events at newsrooms, important meetings in Congress and the White House. And there's just so much work to be done to make sure that we're represented in management and in decision-making roles. And now as Region 3, one of the biggest tasks that we've had and that I've had in this role is really re-engaging our members after the pandemic. And I'm so proud of the work that our DC chapter has done, that our Philly chapter has done, that our student chapters have done to re-engage members and do really important programming throughout the city to make sure that we're represented in the halls of power and that we have a voice for the organization here. In terms of what I'd like to continue to do is grow our chapters, grow our membership, engage especially managers here in Region 3 to make sure that whether they're Latino or not Latino, that they're allies for us, and making sure that they're hiring our talent and our people, and that not only are they hiring our Latinos, but that they're helping advance their careers. And I'm also very passionate about helping our students in these cities and helping them grow once they get their door or their foot in the door in a newsroom. So there's a lot of work to be done. I'm really excited to continue in this role and really appreciate the support of our members. And I'm really looking forward to the Miami convention and really, really pivotal years to come. We've got a presidential election right around the corner. And I think it's going to be a pivotal time for our members to make sure we're employed, that we're advancing, and that we're growing. So thank you all for your support.
Thank you, Melissa. Next, we will hear from Samantha Rivera, who is running for Region 4 Director. That's the South, representing Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Mississippi, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Tennessee. Samantha couldn't make it, but she did submit a video for us. So Yunyuan, if you can allow me to share, I can play this, I hope.
No, it's already on the screen.
It's already
I'm
on?
playing it now.
Oh, thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Samantha Rivera. I'm a bilingual sports journalist here in South Florida. Primero, antes que nada, soy mexicana. Mi mamá es de San Luis Potosí, la familia de mi papá es de Durango, y yo soy de Chicago. I'm currently working as a sports reporter and anchor here for CBS Miami, and I've been here for a little more than 2.5 months, and it's been a crazy 2.5 months getting to cover some amazing teams like the Heat, the Panthers, obviously also enjoying the amazing Latino community here in South Florida, which also includes our NAHJ chapter. I've been part of this organization now since college, which eventually led me to become the vice president for our San Diego chapter. We actually eventually won chapter of the year last year at our convention in Las Vegas, so that was amazing. But now I'm looking to become more than, you know, just a member, and hopefully become your Region 4 director. I love NAHJ. I love seeing us succeed as Latinos, and if I was given the opportunity to fill this position, I'd love to help out wherever I could, you know, whether that's helping come up with fundraising ideas for scholarships, create networking ideas, you know, whatever it is. I'd also love to see more Latinos in sports, especialmente Latinas, because there are not a lot of us in this space. So I would love to try and find, you know, more members who could fill that space up. And with that being said, you know, I'd be honored if y'all would vote for me for your Region 4 director. So thank you so much for taking the time to listen to me, and I can't wait to see everybody here in Miami for this year's convention. Ciao.
Wonderful. We'll move on to Region 5, which is the only one of our 8 races that is contested. First, we will hear from the incumbent, that is Nanette Sosa, running for Region 5. That's the South Central US, representing, as I already noted, Arkansas, Louisiana, Oklahoma, and Texas. Take it away, Nanette.
Thank you, Nora. I'm Nanette Sosa. I'm a university professor at Arkansas, the University of Arkansas in the School of Journalism and Strategic Media. Along with teaching, I have served decades of time within CCNMA, California Chicano News Media Association, where I started in the mid-90s, all the way through NAHJ. I have experience. I can provide that for Region 5. 33 years, and it runs the gamut with students, with the retirees, even older journalists who still want to continue working in the industry, freelancers. I'm there for them, creating student chapters, creating growth for NAHJ through outreach, etc. I think that's important for Region 5 and all the regions overall. But Region 5 is a little bit unique because it's almost as though it's its own oasis, a little desert. Population can be sparse, 3 million in Oklahoma, 3 million in Arkansas. Texas is a huge, huge population, 41 million and overall within these 4 states. So there's huge outreach potential. The goal is to reach out, especially when it comes to universities. The TV and radio markets, podcast markets are small, and we need to bring all those together. And I think that's the potentiality that NAHJ can serve. We can also create and make social media work for us. It's one of our free areas where we can do a lot of outreach for, again, all regions, especially Region 5. I even forgot to mention in Oklahoma, particularly, there are gaps. I mean, it's so flat, there's gaps. You have Indian reservations in the middle of cities, etc. And it's a lot of outreach to have to do. In the last 4 years that I've served on the board, 2 interrupted by a pandemic, which did not bring the board down. It continued to work and took that opportunity during the pandemic. I, who had COVID twice, to continue the growth and work on the underbelly of creating a solid organization. For example, the new advocacy committee, that is a new approach that we're listening to the chapter leaders, members, to see how we can help them. Then the directors, along with the executive board members, will review this and see the information that can be dispersed and disseminated to create strength and growth for all the chapters. A strategic plan, a 5-year strategic plan, is now partially in place, continues to grow with the strategic plan for NAHJ, something that had not been done in the past. Revamping bylaws That's never been done in the history of NAHJ. Please correct me if I'm wrong on that, Nora, or interject. But looking at the bylaws and bringing them up to date, we need to include these rules per se for social media, strategies, funding, money, the do's and the don'ts. We need to relook at that. Most importantly is how to level pay. Let's make pay across the board, all journalists, a little bit more on a level playing field. In my opinion, I think a Hispanic journalist should maybe be paid above a sole English speaking journalist when you have a bilingual journalist with 2 languages. I think that's more worth its weight in gold. And it could even be maybe Korean, Japanese, and so forth. I'm not just saying Hispanic, right? So again, those are scenarios that need to be enhanced, created, appreciated, respected, and get paid for it. I'm going to give you a quick story about pay. When I was in the mid-90s in San Diego, switched from one market, San Diego, over to Phoenix. I was paid $18,000 a year, split shift, AM, PM, and in Spanish and English. When I left the market to go to on a 1-year contract to Phoenix, 3 people were hired to replace me. 1 in the AM, 1 in the PM, Spanish speakers. The one who was only hired part-time got a $48,000 contract for 3 hours of work a day. I was at 18 and had to leave, single mom, 2 kids, and I wanted to increase my pay. I needed to leave the market, went to Phoenix and was able to triple my pay in Arizona by opening up one of the news offices there right off Central in Arizona.
Thank you, Nanette. That's an incredible story, and it really shines a light on.
The company was
far
willing
we
to
have
pay out
come.
$66,000 to my $18,000, and I was on a split shift. So my point is, and you may not see my face often. I am not the one on social media constantly, etc. I will admit that. But let me tell you, I am there for you. I have supported you. I have students who have made our national correspondents in Spanish and English. I have helped and groomed and worked with. And that's my goal. I am doing my due diligence. It's time for me to give back. I have the time. My kids are adults, and I'm here to serve for Region 5. And hopefully get reelected. Thank you.
Thank you, Nanette. Now we go to Nancy Martinez Pryor Johnson, who's also running for Region 5.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nancy Martinez Pryor Johnson. I'm the Deputy Editorial Board Editor and columnist at the San Antonio Express News. I hope I can count on your support for Region 5 and NAHJ Director. As Deputy Editor of the San Antonio Express News Editorial Board, I'm one of the few Latinas on the newspaper masthead. In fact, I'm often the only Latina in the room with politicians and leaders, the only woman most of the time, and for sure the only Latina. My name was one of the 3 Latinas added to our masthead, and so on our newspaper. And it happened after I wrote a column, and I can't take credit for it, but it happened after I wrote a column about the lack of diversity in our newsrooms, and so including our own. And so I went out on a limb, and I mean, I did talk to our publisher before we published it, of course, because I have bills and I want to make sure to keep my job. And I just made sure that I had a support first. And I said, you know, I can't write about diversity without writing about our own newsroom. And he supported me. And that is really important, is to get their buy-in. The other 3 names on the masthead are white men. Right. And that is typical. Why that's important is because those are the people who drive the most daily coverage and hiring decisions at the newspaper. It shapes everything we do. And that, you know, the same kind of goes along with all other kinds of journalism as well, radio and TV. I grew up in a small rural Hispanic South Texas town and just knew I liked writing, but really didn't have a whole lot of guidance other than my dad read the Corpus Christi Caller-Times every day, and especially on Sundays. And we sat at my grandma's house and she made us tacos and menudo, and we sat and read the newspaper. So the work I do and the work we do, and all of us as members and as Hispanic journalists, no matter what medium we are in, it's an honor, but it's in our responsibility. And that's why I'm running for this. because I feel like it is my responsibility to give back. I use my platform every day to write editorials and columns that accurately and passionately tell the stories of our diverse community here and beyond in Texas and even other states, in our industry in our own ways. And all of us has that part to play, right? I'm also dedicated to assuring the diverse voices are reflected in our opinion commentaries. I want to do more to advocate for newsroom diversity, especially in leadership positions, freedom of the press, and strengthening the pipeline for future Latino journalists. I am a member of the San Antonio Hispanic Journalists, which is our local organization here, and I'm treasurer this year. And it's been eye-opening. Like I'm on the scholarship committee, and I usually say yes to everything. And so I'm there on the scholarship committee, and it took several hours of going through all the applicants. But something that really stuck out to me was these students, these young people, both in high school and college, so many of them were wanting, like, on their application, and this is a Hispanic journalist organization, and on their application, they told us they wanted to be in public relations and marketing and advertising. And I mean, that's cool, right? And it's communications, but we need journalists, right? And so we cannot have newsrooms just with a whole bunch of white men. They do great, but our journalists, our community, we need to be more reflective of the people that we write stories about. And so that's what I'd like to focus on. Number one, it's just super, super important. It's why I don't say no to students who want me to go talk to them. It's why I don't say no to mentoring students. And it's why that should be something that we all take very, very seriously. That is the most salient challenge in our industry right now is just having people that look like our community and having enough people, and especially in management positions, and yes, getting paid enough, right? So we need to make sure that we are getting paid at a value at what we give the newspaper and the television and radio stations where we work every day. Diversity struggles persist in all of our newsrooms, and just making sure that we are getting more involved with that is really, really important. As far as my goals for NAHJ, which is just a wonderful opportunity. I mean, I went to the conference last year. It was a blast. It was really good to network. And that's one of the best parts of getting involved with NAHJ, is just networking with the wonderful professionals in our industry. And I'm just amazed by everything we're able to do, despite all the challenges. I want to help increase outreach to grow our membership so that the work we do is more robust. When I was just kind of campaigning a little bit to get nominated for this and to be able just to even, be on the ballot, so many of the people I knew who are, great journalists and well-known, who are Hispanic journalists that I was just so sure were members, that when they went and checked, they were not paid. They were not paid up. They weren't engaged. And some of them, it was kind of a surprise to them. So that's something I like to work on, is just make sure that they know, hey, they're important to the organization and they need to pay up. They need to get engaged, because we all matter and we're stronger together. Thank you.
Nora, I think you're muted.
I am. All righty. Thank you so much, Nancy. Appreciate that. I do ask that the candidates try to stick to about 3 minutes. And I mean, I'm trying to keep an eye on the clock, but that's fine. I do want everybody to be able to get their message across to the members. So we will move on to Region 6, and I'm not sure if it's Diana or Diana Gutierrez. She can let us know shortly, but she is running to represent Region 6, the Midwest. That is members living in Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Michigan, Minnesota, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, North Dakota, Ohio, South Dakota, and Wisconsin.
That is right, Nora. Muchas gracias. It's Diana Gutierrez. Qué emoción, chicos. Oh my gosh, I'm like nervous. I feel like when you're on air, you're an anchor or a reporter, people are like, oh, you don't get nervous about public speaking. Yeah, we still kind of do. Let me talk really quickly about myself so you guys can get to know me a little bit more. I'm a first-generation Mexican-American bilingual journalist. grew up on Chicago's South Side. I have worked in 3 of the states that I will be representing. So Indiana, Illinois, and Wisconsin. I'm currently working in Milwaukee. I attended DePaul University. I actually opened up the student NAH chapter there on campus. We were a small group, but it still felt like we didn't have the resources necessary as Latino journalists on campus. I know DePaul is a very diverse university, and I'm so grateful for that, but we still needed a little group to get together to bounce ideas off of each other and just to have that support. So the Chicago chapter actually helped me put that together. It's since been a very successful student chapter. And when I moved back to Chicago after my time in South Bend, Indiana, I was able to participate a little bit more in the Chicago chapter. I became the vice president there, worked alongside then President Carly Luque, and we put together some amazing events in Chicago. We had our annual Nuevo Comienzo fundraiser where we raised money for scholarships for journalism students. We also had a very interesting event that to this day is my favorite. It's called Café con PIOs. And we pretty much just got all the PIOs from the area, the people that we needed to get information from, that we needed to talk to. We brought them together in a room, shared coffee, and talked about what would be the best ways to reach out to them, to open up that communication, right? And have those resources available as Latinos in the newsroom. So it's a really good idea if anyone wants to do that in their region. It works really well. And again, you get to put a name to the face or a face to the name, and it's just easier to get information that way as well. I am now running for Region 6 director. It's my first time, so I'm like a sponge. I'm like soaking everything up. Very new to this, but I'm excited and I'm hungry and I'm eager to get this going. I recently held a listening session with NAHJ President Yvette Cabrera and the chapter leaders in my region. So we got together and we pretty much talked about what we need to improve on the local level and how national can help with those issues or with those concerns. And the thing that kind of stuck out to me the most was membership in both chapters, in the Chicago chapter and the Wisconsin chapter, right? How do we get these local journalists eager to be part of an organization like NAHJ, or find out why they haven't renewed their membership? So I started messaging and private messaging all of these journalists that I know that are in the area. And I'm like, hey, by the way, did you renew your membership? Like, just a reminder, you know, we're still here. So I've gotten good feedback. I've gotten people that just have said, oh, I forgot to renew it, or I haven't been involved in NAHJ for a very long time, but I'm interested. So starting those conversations, getting everyone kind of refreshed and, you know, remind them why NAHJ is still here after so many years. Right now, like I mentioned, the only active chapters, I should say, are in Chicago and in Wisconsin. So if I am elected as Region 6, I'm hoping to add more. I know that we had a Cleveland chapter that has since been closed. It's no longer active. And I did try to reach out to some of those members there to see what exactly happened or if they were interested in starting back up, but I haven't gotten any response just yet. I'm thinking Kansas City would be the place where I would want to open up. I have a couple people that I know that work there. So that's in the works, in the back of my mind. Just to keep you up to date with what's happening here in Chicago and in Wisconsin, both chapters have new boards. So it's also a very exciting time for those chapters. The Chicago chapter is working on awarding a $5,000 scholarship this year. And the Wisconsin chapter, it's very unique because I haven't been part of a chapter that's statewide, right? And that becomes a little bit of an issue because you want to get people to come to like in-person events, right? Virtual events, we'll do it if we have to, but it's quite of a drive if you're going from Green Bay to Milwaukee to Madison. So we're working around that kind of little roadblock, if you will. They are holding an upcoming webinar that's titled Don't Dress to Impress, Dress to Succeed. And that is this week here in Wisconsin. So that'll be virtual. But I'm very excited. I'm so proud of what NAHJ has done. And I'm so grateful for all the work that I was allowed to do on myself through this organization. So I'm excited to be here. Proud to be part of NAHJ in any capacity. Y muchísimas gracias.
Thank you, Diana. And thank you for Diana, excuse me. And thank you for keeping us abreast of what's going on in your area. Really good information. Next, we will hear from Johnny Cordova, who's running for Region 7. That's the Southwest. That's for members living in Arizona, Colorado, Nevada, New Mexico, Utah, and Wyoming. Johnny, take it away.
Thanks, Laura. I appreciate it. Thanks for the introduction, and thank you everybody who's on the call right now. Yes, the reason why I'm running again is because we need to grow this region too. I think it's the word of the day. We're all trying to grow the region, get more members, and get people involved. NHJ has also been a big part of my career. I remember I got involved when I was in college. I graduated from Florida International University in North Miami. I was lucky to live in Florida for 18 years. I left because I got tired of the hurricanes. But I did work there at Univision Network. I was one of the founding members of Despierta America. And everybody used to tell me, you're crazy, where are you gonna leave Miami? Where are you gonna leave Univision, the network? Everybody wants to come here. But I started as a photographer and editor, and I always wanted to be a producer. So I went to a smaller market in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And there I worked for Univision, and then I worked in English for KRQE. So it's always been a career where I've been challenging myself. And then I moved to San Antonio. I worked as a news director at KVDA. So basically, I've done every position from a grip in Fort Lauderdale to news director. And currently, I am at KPNX in an NBC station in Arizona. I'm a news producer. And right now we're getting ready for the 10th anniversary of the Yarnell tragedy up in Prescott. So I've had a very, I would say, successful and long career. I've worked in print, in TV, in radio. I've worked for Univision, Telemundo. And there was for about 4 years ago, I decided, you know what? I need to start mentoring others. And that's how I got involved again with NHJ, not as a member, but now as a board member. And I have really enjoyed it. We have launched a couple of chapters, one in Nevada, in Reno, and the other one in Tucson with the University of Arizona. And the pandemic kind of slowed things down, but we are trying now to basically reignite the passion. And we've working with the local chapters and local leaders. I really do think that sometimes the power is really at the local level. We can only do so much at a national level, but really it's a grassroots operation. So it starts on the ground, and that is our local chapters. And that is why I'm running again. When I first started, I could say I was like a sponge too, just absorbing everything that was happening. But now I've become more of an active participant. So again, when the ballot comes across, please do vote for me and let me give me the chance to continue the work that we have been doing in this region. Thank you.
Thank you, Johnny. You came in right on time. Thank you so much. Christy Fajardo, who is the candidate running for Region 8, could not be with us today because of work. She is running to represent the Pacific, which is Alaska, California, Hawaii, Idaho, Oregon, and Washington. I will just let you know that Christy is a journalist based in Los Angeles. She's with KTTV Fox 11. Please, I urge you to go to our elections hub, and you can find more information from Christy there, including her bio and her statement. And as staff just noted on notes on the meeting chat, we are recording this and we will post this on our elections hub so that anybody can go back in and review all the candidate statements. At this point, if there are any questions from any of our staff members, any of our members, you are free to ask a question directed to any one of the candidates if there are any questions. Okay, well, I'll go ahead and ask a question of our Region 5 candidates, since that is the only race that's elected. But I do ask Nanette and Nancy to try to keep their responses to about 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes tops. And you may have already touched on this, apologies, but just want to ask you, what do you think, Nanette, is the biggest challenge that we face in our industry right now? And what specifically can NAHJ do to try to help address that challenge?
Thank you, Nora. As far as biggest industry challenges, there are plenty. One I will focus on, though, is transparency and getting to the truth with information that we need to disseminate, especially since the 2020 presidential election. That was very difficult to distinguish between disinformation and misinformation. So that is important for NAHJ members. As I said earlier, one of the ways that we can make how NAHJ can make an impact and get to the truth at a very economic type of way without costing too much money is working with social media and having all our regions, etc., on one platform with our message that we're sending out. Granted, each region is unique. They have their own necessities. However, when it comes to an overall industry challenge, transparency and truth is very, very important. Second, NAHJ, as well as other medias need to adopt to technology. It's going at a quick pace, especially with artificial information that's out there, artificial intelligence, I should say AI. In addition to transparency and truth, we need to learn how to weed out that through our word and, what's right, what's wrong, what's the message that we're sending out. So again, artificial intelligence is this chat GPT, and as an instructor and teaching this, I am leaning toward it. I embrace it. I say, bring it on. I say students really need to, at the bottom of a pyramid, students need to have understanding and memorization of journalism and the skills where artificial intelligence cannot replace you and the students is with creativity. And that's how I promote. And I think all of us, even through NAHJ, we're creative, we're smart, we can get our message out and we can be transparent. Work with social media, don't go against it, and just get our message out. So I think those are two that kind of go tandem. I won't even get into the money aspect because of the volatile markets, etc. Different statement, but thank you.
All righty, thank you so much. Nancy, same question. If you could keep it to about 2 minutes, that would be greatly appreciated. But what do you see as one of the biggest challenges we face as journalists, and what can NAHJ do to help address that? You're on mute, Nancy.
You would think I would know, so many Zoom meetings that we've had. All right, thank you. So as I mentioned earlier, just kind of recapping what I said earlier, I think the most salient challenge we have in our industry is fortifying the diversity in our region's newsrooms. But it's more than building our NAHJ membership, although that is really important. It's building awareness and highlighting the extraordinary work of our members to show the kind of work that we do every day. And NAHJ does a wonderful job of incorporating young people. At the conference last year in Las Vegas, I saw so many of the young people actually working there and writing stories. And as a former journalism teacher, because I did about 8 years as a journalism teacher, it was just awesome to see them working and in action, right? And so engaged. But I like to be even more purposeful in reaching out to even more teachers and colleges. Here in San Antonio, some of you may be aware that a 95-year-old program was closed, a journalism program at San Antonio College. And in San Antonio with, low income and most Hispanic members, I mean, that was a really important part of our, fortifying our pipeline of journalists, and they closed it. And it was 95 years old. I wrote articles about, I wrote editorials and columns about it, and they still closed it. But, it's really important. I think that maybe we can study trends in journalism programs at colleges in our region, but in, nationally as well, and see if NAHJ can have a more purposeful, meaningful relationship with colleges so we can build up the programs and get more young people into the programs so that we can continue to fortify our pipeline and strengthen the work that we do every day now and in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. I'll open it up again to see, yes, see if anybody raises their hand or just unmute if you have a question for any one of these candidates. I'm always surprised when, Steph Solis, go ahead.
Hi, thank you for organizing this, first of all. I had a question for, my region is region 2, but this is actually a question that maybe any of the candidates could answer that I've been thinking about a lot, as the company I work for has been struggling to hire reporters of color for local news reports. I work at Axios, and like in my experience, I know every news outlet's different, but I feel like we're in a really good spot. We're making really good money. It's like almost like an unheard of experience for me. And to see that even here, like, it's hard to find Black and brown candidates in like cities that have been historically majority minority cities, it made me wonder, like, what can some of the candidates here, what do you think you can do, or you think NAHJ can improve upon to keep budding journalists and even mid and later career journalists in the fold and empower them so that if they want to stay in the industry, they don't feel pushed out? Because I think that's part of the product we're seeing here is, just not getting a lot of responses for certain job opportunities because a lot of folks are leaving the industry.
Sarah, as Region 2, would you like to answer that?
Yeah. So I question if a lot of employers are going to public universities, community colleges, public high schools in inner cities, particularly in Boston. Often, I know my newsroom, for instance, has a new thing where they'll link to like NAHJ, AHJ, NAHJ, but it's like, that's where you stop. And it's good that they're starting to arrive and go to some of our, job fairs, but they also need to do the work themselves. And I think where NAHJ can sort of step in whatever region is provide them with the contacts for those community colleges. We're there to support them, but they also need to do some of the work themselves. A lot of these employers have massive HR and recruiting offices, and it's like, well, when you're saying that, what are you all doing? And really making sure they're going to the right places. I could tell you that many of my employers in the past have not. And I've started seeing them show up at NAHJ events locally, and it's like, oh, that's good. I'm happy for you. But like, I really would like to see you engaging with some of the students and some of the young professionals here in Boston who were not white.
David, you have your hand up?
Yes. Hi, Stephen. Just want to add that we constantly are first of all supporting our student local chapters, like working with me and I'm pretty sure the other directors, like working directly with the student chapters. We also as an organization this year we have celebrated 2 student summits And that summits include interviews for jobs. We just have one in New York this year, also another one in Los Angeles, and we're planning another one probably for September. And we're also right now looking on all the communication departments of college and university on the nation, just to make sure how many Latino students we have on those departments, and that also includes Latinos of colors. And so we are every day working on that issue.
Yes, Johnny.
I'm not sure if I got the right take on the question, but I do think that besides helping people trying to land a job, the other thing that we need to do is network with other Latinos in newsrooms. Sometimes act as a group, and also check in on each other. This is something that I've actually noticed now that I am in a majority Anglo newsroom, because the few Latinos that we were in the newsroom, we tend to gravitate towards each other and kind of talk about the frustrations that sometimes we experience. So we do have a seat at the table, but we still encounter a lot of pushback on our ideas, and a lot of maybe sometimes bringing stuff that involves the community, but the rest of the group maybe doesn't see it. And I think that comes from having that Hispanic background and that dual language and dual upbringing that helps us maybe see a part of the community that is being underserved. So I think a big part of this, besides the help with students mentoring at a job, is also once you're in that job, making sure that you're doing okay, that you are thriving, and that not just surviving, but basically helping each other out. And sometimes it just lending a helping hand or an ear as a sounding board. Maybe the us who are older and have been maybe doing this for a longer time and have that resilience, just listening to the younger crowd so that they don't give up. Because I've seen a lot of my friends who have left journalism for PR or for a job at one of the cities or police departments because they get burnt out. And I think that starts with building a bridge with management and making them understand the needs that we have, not just as Latinos, but also just as regular employees. I actually feel fortunate that I'm able to look at things like that, because I used to be a manager and I tend to be more empathetic, and I try to be that voice in the newsroom. I don't let it get to me when my ideas don't get done, but then I see it at a competitor and I do say, I pitched that, and now I see it on the competitor side, which validates my point. But I do think that that's where we can come in as mentors and help each other out.
Thank you, Johnny. I saw that Sarah raised her hand. Sarah, did you want to add something?
Yeah. So a lot of colleges host job fairs in March and April, and I think employers need to be made aware of this, or vice versa, to go to these, and even presenting them with a calendar that lists where and when those career fairs are, what the deadlines are for registering for those are, and making sure that the local student NAHJ chapter meets with the employer at the job fair might be really helpful and effective, at least for hiring students and interns. I know it's a small thing, really leading people to the water, but it might be effective.
Thank you, Sarah. And Marilyn, you have your hand raised? You're on mute, Marilyn.
Oops, sorry. So my name is Marilyn Garatex. I'm the NHJ's financial officer, and I appreciate all of you who are trying to run for office. I think that's remarkable and memorable at the same time. And I have just a quick question, just to bring the numbers into the game, because I know some of us don't like numbers. But do any of you have any ideas for fundraising to help the chapters fundraise, or anything along those lines that might help chapters boost their finances and try to get them to be able to do more things, more creative things? They don't have to be big ideas. It can be little ideas as well. You know, I just wonder if anybody has anything that they would like to offer up as a suggestion.
Okay.
Thank you, Marilyn.
I saw Sarah's hand go up first, and then I saw Nanette. So let's go to Sarah and then Nanette.
So it would definitely be more fleshed out once if I'm elected, but I had this idea of having a resume workshop, but also having a headshot workshop. And if people can't pay for a photographer to come in, maybe providing some kind of scholarship, maybe some members that make a little bit more money versus others might be able to fund another member's headshot, even anonymously, and sort of pay for itself in that way. But yeah, that's a very small thing.
A 2-for-1, that sounds great.
Nanette?
As far as fundraising for scenarios, et cetera, locations, while universities do have chapters, I've just been approved to be the advisor for University of Arkansas as the student chapter there. It is possible, as we know through university. Here's the situation. Not everybody goes to college, yet some people are very talented writers. And it's those that I have empathy for who may fall between the cracks. So where do they go? And through their community, through the Chamber of Commerce, I highly recommend see what's going on there. Get involved, whether it's through, it could be your church, through a newsletter, etc. So when you build your resume, you can add that on there and inclusive of links. And that's what bosses and hiring agencies will see. Second part is tenacity. That's the only difference. And answering Marilyn's question as far as fundraising, etc. Keep at it. Just keep at it, and we will do it. We just had a listening session with Austin and with Aaron Garza there and Yvette, and it was good input and feedback with doing that. And again, communicating and getting that set up. So it's the outreach, and that's all you can do is just keep at it. Tenacity.
Thank you.
Deanna, I saw that Deanna raised her hand. And then we're already over the hours. So I see that Johnny has raised a hand. So I will let both Deanna and Johnny speak, and then we will probably need to wrap it up.
Yeah, I'll be really quick. Marilyn, thank you so much for your question. I know that in Chicago, we've done a lot of fundraising events, and that is pretty much how we are able to give out these scholarships. I mean, there was one time I think we gave out $3,000 to $4,000 scholarships for students. So one thing that we always do, obviously partnerships are very important. And I know this is something that was brought up in our conversation, even with the chapters, like what are the guidelines for fundraising as well? If we can get on the same page on who can sponsor this, who can help us raise money, who can we accept money from, I think we will get a better idea on how we can move forward on having networking opportunities, on hosting a panel, on what have you, right? To raise money, to have these scholarships or to have these resume sessions, LinkedIn sessions, headshot sessions. I love that idea, by the way, Sarah. But again, I think on that note, if we get a clear idea and guidelines on who we can reach out to be able to participate and partner with, I think that we'll be in a better spot as well.
Thank you.
Johnny?
Yes, I'll be sure to. I think a good 2-for-1 would be maybe starting some sort of a quarterly meetings and maybe at those meetings have invite somebody who can come and give a chat. It could be virtual or in person, and maybe ask members to just donate $1. I mean, I think that that's a good way just to start, and also get those meetings going. I think right now we're kind of disconnected. I know it's usually hard for people to get together. So this would be like a nice way of easing back into the habit of meeting, and also for the local chapters, and also fundraising. And then as things progress, you know, we can add bigger things. And I always say aim high and dream big. You can invite somebody like, I don't know, I'm thinking of Jose Diaz Balar, Neida Sandoval, I don't know, anybody that you think. I mean, you just send out the invite, and if they are willing to do it, then you already have a fundraising event.
Okay, I know I said I was gonna wrap it up, but Nancy raised her hand, so I'm trying to give everybody the opportunity. Go ahead, Nancy.
Just real quick, and in San Antonio at the Hispanic Journalist organization, we have a gala every year, and that is our fundraising. And so we are really successful, but I can't take credit for it. This is the first year I get really hands-on involved. I can tell you as the treasurer, the checks are coming in, and I have to constantly keep going to the bank, which is great. And that's what we all want as chapters. We sent letters out recently to all these students, $60,000 worth of scholarships. And it's wonderful to make that kind of difference, but it takes time to build that trust in the community when you're asking for the funds, and then you have to show them what's their ROI, right? Why are they investing the money in you and not somebody else? And that's part of just building that awareness. But yeah, I mean, the gala is the biggest thing we do. We sell, of course, tables, and then there's going to be a live auction, and every year it gets bigger. So it's a full-fledged, everybody dress up, formals and all of that. And but yeah, I think it's a great idea to share and compare notes, because we're all in it together, and we can all learn from one another.
Thank you.
How much is the group going to give out in scholarships this year?
This year is 65,000.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I should note that the SAHJ is an independent organization. They are not yet, they're affiliated with us in that NAHJ has partnered with them for some events, but they are not yet a chapter, although we have been in conversations with them about making that a reality.
Yeah, hopefully that'll change soon. Mm-hmm.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, for our members, please go to our elections hub. You will find all of the candidates' bios and their statements on there. We will be doing another mail out in the next week where they will get another opportunity to make their case directly to you. And then, of course, voting opens, I believe, on July the 1st. That's when the election begins in earnest, and you can vote electronically. If you were if you paid your dues by the date, which was May 15th, the date of record, you will get an email that will direct you to our election page where you can file your vote electronically. So vote early, but only once, not often. Yvette, as our president, any parting words?
I just wanted to say thank you to all of you for making this commitment to run for office, and to we all know it's a huge commitment to serve as a regional director and as a board of director, but I am excited as some of the regional directors reference, we've been doing these listening sessions with our chapter leaders to get a sense of where we can advocate on, but they become sessions where we're hearing sort of like even just basic needs. And so all of the things, you know, from Johnny mentioning like the quarterly sessions for the chapter leaders to meet together, to what Diana was mentioning about the guidance that's needed, and support, whether it's speaking up as a chapter leader or how to fundraise. We're listening to that and working behind the scenes to try to serve those members' needs, to activate them, and hopefully do as all of you have said, which is we want to rejuvenate our chapters, because those at the chapter level is where a lot of the action takes place. And so I'm excited. What all of you have said today, I think bodes well for our organization, because through this work that you're doing, that you're willing to do, I know we can build up and take the next steps that we need as far as the work that we're doing on our strategic plan. So thank you.
Thank you. Keep an eye out in your email for more from the elections chair, the elections committee. And thank you so much. Have a great day. Stay
Thank you.
cool.
Bye.